Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney O'Neill Allen with GovExec and your host of today's 5 Questions with Courtney Stiles, the Executive Director of Customer Activities for REDCOM. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney. Happy to be here.
I feel like we're doing like a double take here. It's Courtney to Courtney.
Yes.
It's exciting.
Yes.
So, as we jump in, tell us a little bit more about REDCOM and who your customers are.
Sure. Yeah. So REDCOM is a woman-owned small business. We're headquartered up in Victor, New York, which is Western New York. And what we do is we are a manufacturer of commercial command and control solutions for the tactical edge. And I specifically say for the tactical edge, right? And kind of define the tactical edge of the people that are out there on the front lines at the tip of the spear a lot of times. And so we focus specifically on the tactical edge because there are a lot of tactical edge constraints that you don't find anywhere else, right? So a lot of other companies will take an enterprise approach, right? Because certainly there's a lot of money in the enterprise, right, level.
For sure.
Things. And then they try to push that solution down into the tactical edge. And that really doesn't work.
Got
because
it.
There's very specific things that the tactical edge requires. And we take the opposite approach. So we focus specifically on that tactical edge because we believe if it can work there, it can work anywhere, right? So we start there and then kind of scale up. It can grow from there specifically. And so the other thing I always like to say is, the tactical edge, certainly you think of the military, right? When you think of those folks that are at the tip of the spear.
For sure.
But the war is everywhere, right? The tactical edge is everywhere. It's not just in the military. So that could be in disaster relief efforts, right? That could be in humanitarian efforts. That could be a security company doing security for a local concert venue,
Right.
right? So all of those things, our solution at the end of the day is able to bridge those gaps between different organizations that need to talk, right? Because when something happens or if you are needing to speak to someone, right, you don't want to have to worry, is my message going to get there?
Right.
Right. So that is our bread and butter, and being able to focus on increasing interoperability, increasing operational flexibility for those folks while reducing that lifecycle maintenance and training costs. And, oh, by the way, reducing the cognitive burden from the warfighter or whoever the end user is in that scenario. So that's, kind of REDCOM in a nutshell. And then to get to the second part of your question of where are we today or who do we work with, right?
Yeah.
So the U.S. Army is one of our largest customers. So we are used throughout their tactical networks. So we actually are a big part of their modernization effort. And if you're familiar with a product called Cisco Unified Call Manager that's out there today, that's what they were using, which is, again, a great product, a lot of great features, but that really is focused at that enterprise level. And so when you're looking at something that needs to allow mobility, if you're looking for something that needs to be expeditionary, if you're looking for something that's low cost, that is not the solution, right? So we kind of hit all of those marks for our customers and then within the Army specifically, while at the same time saving them millions of dollars because, that was a lot of a heavy lift for them, right? And even specifically, I always like to talk, about the Army because, from a proprietary perspective, right? You can't have those proprietary solutions that are out there, right? You have to avoid that rip and replace. And Cisco is a proprietary solution. But what we were able to do for them, and part of that cost savings, is we were able to work with those existing phones that were out there, right? So they did not have to go to a new solution to modernize and then also buy all new end devices.
Yeah, replacing everything.
Yes. So the Army's huge. We have ATOs with the Army. We have ATOs with the Air Force. We have ATOs with the Marine Corps now, right? So we are used really heavily throughout the DoD space and then also in that international community.
Sounds like you're speaking the DoD's language and you're a little bit of everywhere right now. So
Yes.
that's awesome. There's been a lot of activity related to government contracting from the current administration. How does this impact a small organization like REDCOM?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, greatly, right? I mean, we are a small business. So any change to policy, any executive orders that come out, we are always going to feel the effects as a woman-owned small business, especially, in this industry. So, there's certain ones that come to mind, right? Some of them, are good, some of them are bad, and some of them are ugly.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on how they are, right? So, like, there's certain ones that I've seen, with the executive orders specifically that I'm like, wow, this is good, right? Like the push towards more commercial solutions, right? We are a commercial off-the-shelf command and control solution, right? And so So seeing an executive order come out saying, hey, everyone should be using commercial solutions first and foremost, like that is a very good thing.
Right.
Right now, there's other ones that, also put emphasis on improving the way things are purchased or acquired, and kind of how things, get on contract. Right. So, like OTAs, or other transaction, using those or commercial solutions openings,
Mm.
right? Those are supposed to help streamline, the federal acquisition process. And
Right.
so to us as a small business that, doesn't have like cost accounting software, doesn't have all those things that a large business has, sometimes those are things where like, this is great, right? We want to, speed up the acquisition cycle,
Yeah.
right? And get rid of a lot of that red tape. And then there's things like, that come up like with the tariffs, right? Like, so
Right.
those are always things that we just always have to monitor. We have a manufacturing environment or space within REDCom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we make everything here, on site in the US.
That's awesome.
And we prioritize like getting US components and US goods and things like that. So the effects of the tariffs are minimized.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like one of the actions we've had to take is just minimizing quote times, right? Just so that way, in case something happens, we have that flexibility, to make those adjustments. As a small business, we can't eat a lot of that cost,
Yeah.
that maybe, a large business would have in that sense.
That's really interesting, and that gives us a good insight into what life is like on the smaller business side. So,
Oh, yes.
so Courtney, in an industry that some, perhaps most, would say is dominated by massive players, how does Redcom set itself apart and make some noise?
Yeah, great question, because we are the David of the defense contracting industry, right? We are out there every day against Goliath,
Okay.
right? They have more money, more people, better connections.
Yep.
And that's just, kind of the truth of the matter of anyone that's in this industry. And the quiet part out loud, is that sometimes the best solution, doesn't win. And that's not a complaint. That's just, the reality of the situation, that everyone finds themselves in. And so to get back to your question of like, what can we do to kind of make some noise? And that is we can really take an unconventional approach, right? And take those seemingly disadvantages that you think of when you think of maybe a small company, right? Like you're like, oh man, they don't have the resources, right? Or maybe they don't have the ability to scale up or down or whatever it is when you think of a small business, and kind of flip those. And those are actually benefits to us, right? Because we only have one location, right? So when there's some challenge that happens, right? Like it's really easy for us to assemble and kind of create cross-functional teams and address, whatever is going on, right? If we have a customer that needs a certain feature or needs a certain capability, we are able, again, to quickly turn on those requirements, right? We don't have a lot of that bureaucratic red tape, or, we don't have shareholders that we necessarily have to answer to. So it just gives us a lot of flexibility in our operations. And so, taking those things and being very intentional, with how we apply them. And these things are going to sound simple, when I say them. But, folks in this industry know, right? Like we are kind of the brilliance in the basics, right? So we always make sure like we do what we say we will do, right? Or if somebody emails us, we try to email back within 24 hours, right? Or if somebody needs something, we try to give them an answer. And these are small things, but they're not givens always,
Right.
In this industry. And certainly when you're in a much larger company, right? You get people that want to go to a small company because they want to make a difference and not just be a cog in that machine.
Right.
And so REDCom is filled with those people that could go somewhere else and make more money, but they come to REDCom because they know that they can make a difference, and they know that they can help, not only REDCom, but our customers, the warfighters at the end of the day.
Right. It sounds like Redcom is agile, nimble, and at the ready. So that's great.
Yeah.
And making high impact with, like you said, simple, meaningful touches. So what are you seeing and hearing as a need and requirement by today's military, first responders, and other users of tactical comms equipment?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. There's so many, right? So cloud is a big conversation, especially in the tactical space, right? It's also a very polarizing discussion, right? So, the tactical edge, again, those people that are out there in those austere environments and are in those DDIL environments, there's a lot of benefits to the cloud and being able to have that. But in order to have that cloud, you need to have that network reach back. You need to have that pipe, and that pipe needs to be big enough, for the stuff to, travel down to the
Right.
technical edge. So if you don't have those things, or certainly, everyone kind of knows this is a technical edge reality,
Mhm.
certainly. So, when flash to bang happens, and like that's the first thing that people are going to go for, right? Is to try to, kind of cut that off.
Mhm.
So cloud is definitely something that people want. And, we are helping folks figure out, the right way to implement that from like hybrid clouds and, cloudlets and all the benefits of kind of being able to use those tools at the cloud, but bringing them down to the technical edge when that inevitably will go away.
Mhm.
So cloud's a big one that goes AI,
Of
ML, machine learning, those types of things,
Yeah.
right? Anything autonomous or like, things happen automatically.
Yeah.
Those are things people aren't going to have time to like go set up somewhere and take 30 minutes, to set up.
Download. Yeah.
Yes, or download or get the talk set up or whatever it is. They're going to have to shoot, move, and communicate. And a
Yeah.
lot of times they're going to have to do this with people shooting at them,
Yeah.
right? Which just adds another level of complexity. So,
Totally.
those are all things that, we talk about and work through. So AI/ML, another thing folks, are certainly looking for is, they really are switching to looking for low cost alternatives,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of lessons that everybody's looking to Ukraine, in
Mhm.
terms of how that conflict is working and
Yeah.
shaping up and all of those lessons learned. And one of them is that everybody, would like to get low cost systems that, if they get blown up, it's going to be okay. You can have another one. You can just replace it, right? So specifically speaking, like about drone warfare and things like that, right? So those are things that people certainly look for from, a high level,
Mhm.
right? Certainly. And then people are looking for from like a feature, level and kind of like a nuts and bolts technology, conversation is, they need solutions that are going to power up
Mhm.
quickly,
Yeah.
right? They need solutions that are going to plug into whatever is fielded currently, right? They're going to need solutions that, are not complicated,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
that goes back to that autonomous or that automatic setup.
Yeah.
So those are all a lot of different things that people, are looking for, and we support, our customers in a lot of those different things that they're looking for.
So, Courtney, what does the near and distant future look like for Redcom?
Yeah. So certainly as a company, we never sit still. So we are always constantly reimagining, reiterating of what we can do better for our customers. So, the next software release that's coming out is going to contain streaming video feature, right? And so that's essentially where you can have a body cam or you can have a drone camera
Mhm.
feed, and you can go ahead now take that and push it out through something like ATAC or through some other means that they currently have, and they're able to now see that video feed that maybe they would not have been able to see, in the past. And then really, we are trying to take over the world, here at Redcom, right? So, we have a manufacturing facility, we have capacity. There's a big push, to go to US manufacturers. So
Mhm.
kind of the challenge that I put to all of, the folks that are watching this is if you have a solution and you want a US based manufacturer, come see us, right? If you have a communication challenge that's hard that you can't figure out, come see us because we have a lot of smart folks, kind of back at the ranch that will be able to figure it out, right? And, you know, not only figure it out, right, but putting us up against other people out there that are currently in use or, that want to be in use
Mhm.
also. And I, personally will guarantee you come to us, we will go ahead and beat them in the field, in the lab all day, every day.
That's wonderful. Connectivity at the edge.
Connectivity at the edge.
That's awesome. Well, Courtney, this was so informative, and I'm really excited for everything that Redcom is doing in the future. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching. This was today's 5 questions. I'm Courtney O'Neill Allen with GovExec TV. Have a great day.